Oh, wait a minute.
I call to order the Gurnee Village Board regular meeting of October 23rd, 2023. Roll call, please.
Thomas.
Present.
Thorstenson.
Here.
Woodside.
Here.
Ross.
Here.
Garner.
Here.
O'Brien.
Present.
6 present.
I'll stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Welcome. First item on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Balmas. Second by Trustee Garner. Roll call, please.
Thomas.
Aye.
Thorstenson.
Yes.
Woodside.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Garner.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
6 aye.
Motion carries. Pat?
Item number 1, approval of the minutes in the October 9, 2023 Village Board meeting. Item number 2, approval of ordinance 2023-72, authorizing the execution of a recreational lease with Commonwealth Edison Company to maintain a recreational path between Dilly's Road and Illinois Route 21, lease number 100301. Item number 3, approval of ordinance 2023-73, authorizing the execution of a recreational lease with Commonwealth Edison Company to maintain a recreational path between Knowles Road and Hunt Club Road, lease number 102671. Item number 4, approval of ordinance 2023-74, authorizing the execution of a recreational lease with Commonwealth Edison Company to maintain a recreational path adjacent to Washington Street, lease number 108132. Item number 5, approval of setting a bid date of November 8, 2023 for 2024 fuel purchase. Item number 5, approval of Public Works Department recommendation to renew a mowing and landscape maintenance contract for Class A, B, and C sites with Siebert Landscape for 2024 through 2026 at an annual cost not to exceed $137,000, 0% rate adjustment. Item number 7, approval of payroll for period ending October 6, 2023 in the amount of $1,183,093.78. Item number 8, approval of bills for period ending October 23, 2023 in the amount of $1,583,705.36.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Garner, second by Trustee Thorstenson. Roll call, please.
Thomas.
Aye.
Thorstenson.
Yes.
Woodside.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Garner.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
6 aye.
Motion carries. On to petitions and communications. Approval of a proclamation designating October 23rd through the 31st, 2023 as Red Ribbon Week in the Village of Gurnee. Red Ribbon Week in the oldest and largest drug prevention campaign in the nation is the most oldest, largest drug prevention campaign in the nation. The Red Ribbon was chosen as a symbol commemorating the work of Enrique Camerini, a Drug Enforcement Administration agent who was murdered in the line of duty and has come to represent the belief that one person can make a difference. This year's Red Ribbon Week theme is Be Kind to Your Mind, Live Drug-Free, and is a reminder that every day Americans across the country make significant daily contributions to their communities by being the best they can be because they live drug-free. Now therefore, I, Thomas Hood, Mayor of the Village of Gurnee, do hereby proclaim October 23rd through the 31st, 2023 is Red Ribbon Week in Gurnee and encourage all citizens to wear and display red ribbons and participate in drug-free activities throughout that week, joining the rest of the country to establish an atmosphere that supports awareness, education, and ongoing initiatives to prevent illegal drug use. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Trustee O'Brien, second by Trustee Ross. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Just a quick reminder, we do have a committee of the whole scheduled for next Monday. So Bill Susi, the Executive Director of Central Lake County Joint Action Water Agency, will be here along with Brett Fritzler, our utility supervisor, to talk about water. So Monday, 7 o'clock, be here.
All right, no reports, no old business. On to new business. Item number 1, approval of ordinance 2023.
75.
Granting a major modification to the Woodside Park Plan Unit Development, more specifically 6737 Revere Court, pursuant to the Gurnee zoning ordinance. Pat?
Sure. So a memo in your packet from our planning manager, Tracy Velkover, on this. American Tower owns a 150-foot cell tower over on Revere Court. AT&T submitted a building permit to add some 5G antennas to that tower. They do a structural analysis. The structural analysis indicated that the current tower couldn't support the weight of the new 5G antennas, as they weigh more than what's on there right now. So the American Tower submitted a plan to bolster the structural integrity of the tower by erecting a exoskeleton on the outside of it. It consists of four 3-inch diameter steel support posts with brackets every 3 feet up the center and the sides of the tower, up to a height of 67.5 feet, so not quite up halfway of the tower. The exoskeleton, the colors will match the existing tower. All the cabling will be placed inside. The PUD allows the monopole to remain there, but the structural modifications require a major amendment to the PUD, so that's what's before you tonight. As was indicated in Tracy's memo, I had a couple residents show up to the public hearings and speak. One was a owner of the property that the tower's on in support of it. Another was a property owner next door concerned about the access path and that getting tore up when they go in there to work on the tower. So following that meeting, it was a unanimous favorable recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Board with some conditions that relate to that access drive and landscaping. So staff went back, took those conditions, put some numbers to it, subsequently received a letter from American Tower basically saying that the approval of the exoskeleton cannot be tied to or be conditioned on improvements to the access path or landscaping. They cited Section 6409 of the Spectrum Act, took that information, had Attorney Winter take a look at it. Following his review, he concurred. The exoskeleton can be conditioned on improvements to the access paths and landscaping. So the letter from American Tower was at the back of your packet. Also included was a memo from Attorney Winter sharing his perspective on it. So if there's damage to the access path in the future, that'll be handled just via code enforcement out there from that perspective. So what before you tonight is the addition of the exoskeleton. There's some pictures in your packet from other towers that they've installed an exoskeleton on to give you an idea of what it looks like. And I think we have a representative from American Tower in the audience if there's specific questions.
Any questions to my right? Any questions?
I did have a question on the exoskeleton. Is that just rebar that's bracketed up the pole?
Hi, my name is Gong. Last name is Lin, here on behalf of American Tower. What was your question?
The question was, I was looking at the picture of the what appears to be the exoskeleton. Mm-hmm. Is that like rebar still?
I guess it looks kind of like it, but they're not called rebars.
Is it rigid? Is it wiggly? Is it like a hose? Is it?
No, it's not wiggly.
Is it steel?
It's rigid. It's steel. Yes.
Yeah. It looks like rebar. It's fastened against. Right. I just wondered what it was made of. That's all.
Okay, it's definitely steel.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I have a question.
Yes.
Actually, a statement first, just for the record. The similarity between Woodside Park and my name is a complete coincidence. I don't have any legal interest at all in that.
Didn't enter my mind.
And I'm also, the feedback that came from the community through the planning and zoning process was concern about damage to landscaping, and your letter addressed to the satisfaction of our attorney that you're really not bound by those conditions. But I'm just wondering, what is the sense that you would provide for the residents there if there is damage done during this construction process to the landscaping? What is your willingness to engage in that?
Well, as far as I don't believe this project will cause any damages, but if any damage is caused, it will be repaired. So yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Gurnee, second by Trustee O'Brien. Roll call, please.
Thomas.
Aye.
Thorstenson.
Yes.
Woodside.
Aye.
Ross. Garner.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
6-0.
Motion carries. On to item 2, approval of ordinance 2023,
76.
adding one
Thank you,
Class
everybody.
1 tobacco and alternative nicotine products license by amending Section 7-8 of Chapter 7 of the Gurnee Municipal Code entitled Tobacco and Alternative Nicotine Retailers, Grand Convenience Store, 3701 Grand Avenue, Unit J. Pat?
Sure. So had an application for a Class 1 tobacco license, which is incidental sales, so less than 50% of sales in the facility, for a proposed convenience store on East Grand. It's looking to move into the west end of the building that houses a Major Music Pro Nails. It's the spot where the free COVID testing site was before. Police Department did their background check, found nothing to preclude the license. It's before you for consideration.
Any questions or comments to my right? To my left? Is there a motion?
So move. Second.
Motion by trustee Baumus, second by trustee Garner. Roll call, please.
Baumus.
Aye.
Thorstenson.
Yes.
Woodside.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Garner.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
6 aye.
Motion carries. Item 3, approval of renewals related to the village's self-insured medical plan, health insurance plan stop-loss coverage, a period of 12 months with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois at an estimated cost of $570,205 and $22,295 for aggregate coverage. And administrative services only contract for a period of 12 months with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois at a rate of $76.12 per employee per month, and adjusted for anticipated annualized prescription rebates of $321,282. Pat?
Sure. So Christine takes the lead on this every year. She's going to walk us through it quick. Peter Wright from Wright Benefit Services that we've had a long relationship with, obviously helps out with the renewal. So I'll let Christine walk you through, and if we get too deep in the weeds, then we'll get Peter at the microphone.
Okay, thank you very much, Patrick. So good evening. Yes, before you, there was a very detailed memo in your packet concerning our health insurance renewal. As we do every year, we touch base with Peter Wright and his team throughout the year to keep track of where our plan is trending, so that as we get to this point in the year, we have a better idea of things we may want to do to adjust going into the next year to help hopefully reduce costs, save us some premium and or claims. But this summer, staff did request Peter and his team to go out to the market to do a more formal review of other carriers and what they may offer in terms of pricing. And so we did receive back 3 proposals. There was with Allied, Beratane, and UMR, which is commonly known as United Healthcare. As his team reviewed those proposals and met with us, there could be some generated savings of around 3 to 5% on the claims side. However, to achieve those claims costs, it would result in some significant changes in terms of our network access for our participants. So as mentioned in the memo, sometimes participants going to a certain doctor may no longer have access to those providers, especially if they reside or seek treatment in the Wisconsin-Kenosha border area. So that could be a negative outcome for our participants. Likewise, on the prescription drug side, there could be some savings that is built into that, but again, it's going to require some major adjustments on our employees and what they expect through their health plan. But, you know, we could achieve some cost savings. However, the risk is the way that their stop-loss proposals are, which, as you recall, stop-loss covers up to a certain deductible limit every individual claim that hits our plan. So currently we have an $80,000 stop-loss limit. Once a claim goes beyond that $80,000, then the stop-loss insurance would then kick in and cover the claims cost over that. Switching to new TPA and a new stop-loss carrier would affect that relationship that we currently have with Blue Cross. So there may be more claims that we may have to pay the full cost on that the stop-loss carrier would not be willing to take after that 80,000 limit. So there could be some substantial risk shifting to the village that may, on the stop-loss side, that may eliminate those claim savings that could have been built into the plan. So as we looked at that whole process together, it just didn't seem to make a lot of sense to go through a changeover with that risk, even though we could get some slight claim savings. The disruption to employees, claims, service, things like that, in addition to that unknown kind of exposure on the financial side for the stop loss really didn't tilt our decision to go in that direction at this point. But we do still always keep our eye to the market, just to kind of compare where our Blue Cross plan is performing. And sometimes it does help with our negotiations with Blue Cross to help bring down some of those costs as well. So we were, Peter and his team were able to reduce our initial stop loss renewal significantly through some additional conversations. So those were some positives. And because of that relationship with Blue Cross, it does make that discussion much more favorable. So through that whole process, we were able to get some cost savings. Really through the rest of the memo, it's pretty much the same as every year. We're going to have some, again, continuation of the Affordable Care Act fees, the stop loss proposal. In order to save a little bit more on premium and not really take on that much risk, we are recommending that we adjust our individual stop loss to $90,000. We only have a couple of claims that are kind of getting into the stop loss range, but as of currently, they are not near the $80,000. So we don't expect that to happen. So with just the way that inflation is going and some trend, it might be the time to kind of move that point, keep the premium savings, and then as we go forward into future years, we'll see a better savings, a better discount as we go forward without having to take on that claims exposure. And then with pharmacy, obviously drug costs continue to be a big component, a big driver of our claims costs. We've looked at so many different ways to try to get those costs under control, but the nature of the insurance is, there's going to be medications that are going to be costly unless we start carving all those out. It's a disruption of service, so we could go that extreme, but I don't know that that's something that we want to look at this point. So we are just continuing with our current plan. We still should get some significant rebates as we have scripts that are written under the plan, we do get a rebate back, so we kind of rely on those to help reduce some other costs within the plan. We would not have seen this level of rebates with any of the other TPAs, so Blue Cross still tends to be the leader in terms of giving us back a portion of those prescription drug costs so that we can use that to offset other plan costs. In terms of overall claims, we are trending a little bit better this year. The effects of COVID are slowly wearing off, so we are finding some moderation in our claims costs. It seems to shift a little bit. Our high-cost claims categories seem to be shifting a little bit. So we've got more digestive, more endocrine-related type claims where we had a lot more mental health and musculoskeletal claims in a couple of prior years. So we're just kind of seeing some different trends on what's kind of driving our claims costs. With that in mind, Blue Cross has offered a number of chronic disease management programs. We continue, and staff and Peter and his team continue to look at those programs just to see if there's something that would help the village and its participants control those costs in areas that seem to be a little bit higher for us. But again, a lot of that it's hard to measure any savings or any benefits that we can get from that. Compliance with the program, we can't force somebody into the program. We can only encourage, and then we're kind of reliant on a third party to kind of develop that relationship with an employee who may be reluctant, or a participant who may be reluctant to add another unknown entity into their healthcare world. So it's hard to get those programs off the ground and really see some of those, but by no means does that mean we stop looking at them. There's apps and self-help things that people can do to monitor themselves. So we just continue to look at those and try to find the right mix of items, at a cost-effective to us, cost-effective to the employee, and see if we can come up with some ways to help control those costs and help improve employee health if they need the assistance. So That's pretty much the high-level overview. As I mentioned, you know, we do continue to try to seek out the best plan for our employees at the best cost overall, and make sure that we can keep that in line with our budget. Any questions?
Thanks, Christine. I'll just go to my left. Are there any questions for Christine or Peter? None? Sorry, Trustee
Just
Bowles?
out of curiosity, this has to be an annual thing, right? There is no, like, you can get 2 or 3 years out of it so that you don't have to go through this process every year like this?
Yeah,
I know I'm dreaming for you,
No.
I just,
And it's a good question. Typically, no, because when you're self-insured, you have to look back at your claims history. So you're kind of looking backwards to go forwards. So you're always going to want to reshuffle what's in that claims mix in order to maybe, hopefully, in going out years, get something better, improve your performance. But I'll let Peter add any of his thoughts
Yeah,
to that.
thank you, Christine. My name is Peter Wright. I'm with Wright Benefit Advisors, and thank you for allowing me to come to this meeting. But the direct answer to your question is, health insurance is very timely, so to speak, meaning you go to the doctor, the claim is generally paid within 30 to 60 days. It used to be 90. Because of that, your claims experience turns over pretty quickly. So a good case, as an example, is if we tried to negotiate a 2-year rate guarantee on something like medical last year, Gurnee and I and Christine would not be happy with our negotiated rate because Gurnee was on very much an uptrend, and now it's more on a downtrend for the majority of health plan costs. Now, that said, for other lines of coverage, getting longer-term rate guarantees like your VSP renewal that I think you worked on last board meeting, that's an example where it's a more predictable type of cost, it's a fixed cost contract, and yes, you can get a longer-term rate guarantee. Now, that said, we have tried to get longer-term rate guarantees for pieces of health insurance renewals, and unfortunately, to no avail for virtually all types of health insurance products. Now, that said, getting to multi-year contracts is getting a little bit more common. We're not seeing a lot of that yet, but an example would be we have reinsurance contracts, and this is to Christine's point about leaving Blue Cross. I might digress a bit because it helps illustrate her point. If we went to another stop-loss carrier, we could get a 2-year rate guarantee, but it would give us a rate cap, and that rate cap would be no more than 50%. 50%. In other words, the health insurance, because it's got a 10% roughly annual inflation rate. Now, today it's more like 7, but if you think over the last 20 years, the average annual cost increase has been somewhere around 8%, probably about 9. But many of you may remember in the 90s, it was 14, 13%. So in those instances, the rate of escalation is just so rapid, they just don't negotiate that type of a guarantee. Sorry for taking so long.
no, that's, thank you. I was wishful thinking on my
Yeah,
part.
we would love it too.
I
really would.
imagine.
To my right, any questions? Trustee Thorstensen?
Sounded like with all the changes, this is the dynamic. I was nervous to have 12 months to realize out.
I think the answer to that would be yes. And there's another aspect, which is basically the IRS code. So the IRS code sort of gravitated everyone's renewal dates towards January 1st, not everyone. And the reason is that flexible benefit plans, tax deductions for health insurance premiums, all those sorts of things work on a calendar year basis. So the industry is pretty much stuck to a 12-month basis. And that's really, I think, worked out pretty well, considering how much work we have to do in the fall. It is a lot of work.
Further? Yes, Trustee.
So, Peter, do you feel that we've got the best plan for the best rate?
Considering all the factors, yes, I do, and I would reiterate Christine's recommendation. What we saw is before we got to any of the markets, meaning the competing markets, saying, we'll give you $50,000 for installation fees up front, we said, all right, outside of those installation fees, in other words, any special considerations in the first year, what's the savings? All right, and as Christine pointed out, it's roughly 5% if we got really creative and told people that they had to go to, a different pharmacy, for example, for drugs, maybe we could save 7%. What we'd like to see in the industry is 5% savings, but hard savings that you can really identify. When we pull away all of the numbers, a lot of the savings were contingent on people going to certain hospitals where those vendors had better deals. When you unwind all of those, what we would call underwriting guesses, for lack of a better term, Blue Cross is pricing your case on your exact claims, all right? So we are more confident in their claims projection. Now, we do our own claims projection as well. We take your claims data, our underwriting models, our actuarial team, and we run the numbers too. We're usually a little bit different, but not so much, all right? So when a new carrier comes in and says, we're gonna save 5% off the bat, we wanna say, prove it, all right? Did you price Peter going to hospital X and not hospital Y? Well, no, we just gave you our average. So they're really giving you numbers that in the first year, they're just not solid numbers. Now, on top of that, United Healthcare, or UMR rather, had promised a $50,000 upfront credit towards your administration fees. Well, that would be wonderful, but that's 1% of plan cost. All right, so what happens when that goes away? So all in all, Blue Cross is very competitive with these markets. They're roughly, after you take out that discount, somewhere around 1% or so higher. Maybe it's almost, it's about 1%. That's not enough really to move the needle, particularly when Christine, when we asked the question, how's Blue Cross going, all right? Now, I won't say that Blue Cross has perfect service, because they don't. But largely, Blue Cross has got a very strong reputation of good service to the employee. There's less employee hassle. The other markets can be more cost effective, meaning they might shave another 1 or 2% off your claims costs, but you will have more phone calls from employees saying, why aren't they paying this claim? Why has it been reduced? All right, so we, on the benefits consulting side, to be honest with you, we don't like the fact that one carrier makes it really easy on the employees, but essentially pays almost everything. All right, that's a phrase that we've used in the industry that's not really the correct phrase. The correct phrase is simply Blue Cross tends to not audit claims to as high a degree. All right, they make up for it in higher discounts. So we have the potential, in most cases. So we have the potential, if we move from Blue Cross to having more disruptive claim service on the part of employees. At best, in my estimation, we would save probably 1 to 2% on claims after we get rid of, just the promise that someone's going to save because they're with United Healthcare. And literally, I have these underwriters telling me that because they're with United Healthcare and they're hospital X, they have somebody at the hospital running around with reduced claims. Well, is that really credible? All right. As Christine had said, and I think she alluded to this, healthcare is very personal. All right. And so one of the other things we get concerned about is if people are in the course of claims. All right. So right now, Gurnee has a number of claims that are, I would say, personal, meaning inflammatory conditions where you don't feel well, skin conditions where you've got, blemishes and things. These are personal things. So if you're to interrupt someone when they're trying to deal with their own health care, it can be very troublesome. So we take it really, we are not the type of advisor that says, you should move for 2% in cost. We move for the holistic answer. And in this case, the holistic answer usually comes from where is the client in terms of their mission. So if we think about municipal work, attracting and retaining employees, and one thing that's a very common issue that we have right now is mental and nervous issues amongst public safety workers, as well as all workers, really. And by the way, that hasn't been improving for your group. But in light of all of those things, and Christine's point about trying to take effective action to help temper the need to access medical care, meaning get people better, hopefully using some of their own means to get better. I'm a perfect example. Had surgery on my shoulder. I'm signed up for something called Hinge Health through Blue Cross. We're there before I go to the doctor to say, Peter, you're such and such an age, you got creaky joints, get your stretch band out, all right? Now, if I had done that 6 months before I went canoeing with my friend, I wouldn't have had a $90,000 surgery, which, by the way, was written down to about $45,000 with Blue Cross, by the way. So it's really an interesting market in that regard. But I would say that, to direct answer your question, all in all, I think Blue Cross is the best answer. We could not get better rates with any degree of certainty. I think, personally, Blue Cross did a very good job for Gurnee. I've said this before. You've been a loyal customer to them. We have run them through the ringer on these renewals. We don't take it lightly. I mean, we tell them exactly what's happening. And Gurnee has been very good about Christine having us market. We generally like to market around every 3 years at least. But not really more than that. And you've maintained a strong relationship with Blue Cross, and they really have come through with you so that your fixed cost trend, that rate of growth for stop loss, administration, net of rebate fees, It's among the lowest of all of our customers. All right, so that in itself is good, all right? And then finally, Blue Cross has a very solid reinsurance contract. Christine's point is very good. We have a very large claim right now with another customer, who's probably 18 years old. That child was born 18 years ago and did become a large claim. That was excluded by a reinsurance change. All right, so those things are financial risks that we try to look out for. So all in all, I do think Blue Cross is the best deal at this point in time, from the results of the RFP and particularly Gurnee's, basic position right now with employees and objectives.
Thank you, Peter.
All right?
Any other questions or comments? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by trustee Baumus, second by trustee Garner. Roll call, please.
Thomas.
Aye.
Thorstenson.
Yes.
Woodside.
Aye.
Ross. Garner.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Christine and Peter.
Thank you all, thank you.
On for public comment. Anybody that would like to make a public comment, please step up to the microphone and state your name. Archie, the only one out there, so I'm staring you down.
Staff could get up.
You're not moving, so that's no public comment. So is there a motion to
So
adjourn?
moved.
Motion by trustee
Second.
Baumus, second by trustee Garner. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.